The gateway to another culture often happens first through food. Okay, inshallah.
If you sit at my table and eat with me, you'll know who I am.
This is what American food looks like. This is the original. This is real America.
Real America. That's the voice of an Emmy-nominated best-selling author, actress, model, television host, executive producer, and the list goes on. She's been on the show before, Heather B, but it's been quite a while. That was the trailer to her show on Hulu. Taste the Nation with Padma Lakshmi, and she's with us right now. Padma, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm so happy to talk to you guys.
Yes. Me too.
How you been?
Everything's good. I mean, I have to say, I just got back into the city. I was in Long Island for most of the quarantine, and it was kind of surreal to walk around the neighborhood again. I just got back. I'm happy to be home. I'm ready for this quarantine to be over, I gotta say.
Yeah. But, what do you do, though? I mean, we're ready, too. We were just having this conversation off mic, but, you just see these numbers. The moment you're ready to step outside, you just keep seeing these different states the numbers are rising in these states, and people are saying, stay in and shelter, social distance. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to do but follow the rules. I went out yesterday to vote, and then I just, kind of took the long way home to see what it was like. And I got to tell you, I had a mask on, I had gloves on, so did my daughter. And the minute I would see people coming to us, especially if a couple people didn't have masks, I literally would stop and move aside and let them walk past us because I could feel my anxiety rise. Also, we've all done the hard work of being really disciplined for 3 months and staying at home and being, really conscientious. It's sad if we just all of a sudden run outside because it's beautiful and we're sick of staying inside, only to undo all that we've gained from 3 months of sheltering in place.
Yeah, it's and that's what that's what we're up against, and because of that, our lifestyles had to change. I'm curious because my daughter has been sheltering in place with me, but she's 21. Mm-hmm. Your daughter is 10. You know what I mean? Like what kind of information?
It's different. I mean, listen, I have so much newfound respect for teachers. I always did.
Yeah.
That online schooling was a real pain in the butt. I mean, I just felt like I had to become, an elementary school teacher, and I'm pretty sure I failed 4th grade geometry because I forgot. I mean, I don't even remember all those angles and, what's the difference between these two triangles. I don't know. I had to look everything up on Google, so it made me feel pretty dumb.
Sure, thank God for Top Chef, huh? Hello. All right, Padma, Heather B and Tracy G are with me as well. You can say good morning to them, the team.
Hey.
How are you guys doing?
Listen, I've actually been taking pages out of your books because if anything, quarantine has definitely stepped up my cooking game to the maximum. I'm using all different types of different seasonings that I haven't before. And also just paying attention to a lot more shows and just, I would say the TV chef culture type of thing, Mm-hmm. One of the things I saw that I was interested in hearing your thoughts, and I'm sure you're aware, but just in case not, with Allison Roman, and for the citizens who may be unfamiliar, Allison is a New York Times chef. She has her own column on there, and she also is very popular online, but she faced a lot of backlash when she did an interview, and she was criticized for how she criticized Chrissy Teigen, who also is really big in the cooking scene. But my question
and Marie Kondo.
Yes, and Marie Kondo for sure. I saw a lot of people criticizing Allison Roman for calling her a hypocrite and a racist, and moreover being someone who successfully capitalized on the ingredients of other cultures. I think about one of her most popular recipes where turmeric is at the center of it. And so I want to know from you, do you have that same type of viewpoint? We oftentimes talk about culture appropriation as it refers to music, but what is it like in this cooking world?
Sure. I mean, listen, what I can tell you about that whole Allison Roman issue, and of course, I know about it. Everybody asked me about it, but I knew about it before anyone asked. I don't want to comment specifically about that because I'm sure that all three women just want this to go away. I think Allison, made a really critical mistake. I think she put her foot very deep in her mouth, something that we have all done. I do think that it reveals something that's a much bigger problem than just, throwing shade at other women, which you should never do, because food is a white male-dominated industry, just like every other industry. And so, women have to stick together. And I just think concentrate on yourself. You shouldn't talk about other people anyway. What I can talk to you about are my feelings in general about that subject. I am a brown woman who's working in a white man's world all my life in food specifically. And, even though I have such a popular show, I've been nominated for Emmys like 9 times, and I'm in 60 different countries. It's still hard for me to get publicity in those mainstream food publications, like, to get a cover or to get, front page coverage in the food sections. I mean, that's changing now. But the whole reason that I did Taste the Nation was specifically to address this issue. Not even just there, but look at what happened at Bon Appetit, where the editor-in-chief was, basically had his butt handed to him because of his own employees coming out and saying all this stuff. And then there was the picture that surfaced. I think worse than that picture of him trying to dress like somebody, from Spanish Harlem or whatever he was thinking he's doing, is the pay discrepancy. That's, to me, much more serious. Between people of color and Caucasian people who are doing the exact same work. That really pissed me off, actually. There are a couple of girls that work there that I know well, that I've been mentoring for, over 7, 8, 9 years, and I was really mad on their behalf. And so I'm glad all of it's coming out now. The collateral benefit of the Black Lives Matter movement is that everybody is saying, yeah, wait a minute, we live here too, we pay taxes too, we are just as American as you are. And that's really what Taste the Nation is about. I mean, I've been doing press for the show, and, everyone's like, oh, my God, it's so relevant, and, it's so cool that you're putting out the show when we're talking about all this. I'm like, yeah, it's great, and I'm sorry that it seems like that, but some of us have been thinking about this for a very long time. It's not that, suddenly that terrible thing that we saw happen to George Floyd happened, and then we all woke up. A lot of us have been dealing with this our whole lives. And it's that way in food, too. And I'm not saying that you can't put turmeric in your soup or your curry or whatever and without, giving credit to, 5,000 years of Indian culture. But I write recipes, I write books, and I've written a lot of articles. It is so easy to add 2 sentences on the top of a head note to a recipe saying, this turmeric is a favorite ingredient of mine. It comes from Indian cooking. People have been using it for thousands of years. We are now lucky enough to get it fresh in the States, and I've used it in this, curry that is inspired by Indian food. It's clearly inspired. Come on, coconut milk and turmeric. I've spent my life trying to introduce Americans to all kinds of ethnic foods, whether they're in this country or abroad, because I think that's the most exciting part of cooking. But, you can do it by giving credit to other people. And I think that is where the problem begins. It seems like, new American cuisine means that a white male chef takes, all these little ingredients that he's no doubt learned about from his kitchen staff, who is brown or black, or, gone to some weird hole in the wall and appropriated into his very French-centric food. And then all of a sudden it's, new American and it's innovative. It's not innovative. It's been here forever. It's just you have discovered it now. It's the same thing. I call it the Columbusization of it's like Columbus came here and all of a sudden he discovered America. No, he didn't discover America. He found it because he stumbled onto it. we didn't need discovering in India any more than we need it here for the Native Americans, in America. And so, I have very strong, passionate feelings, obviously.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
About this, and that's why the Gullah Geechee episode of Taste the Nation, which Hulu gave free on YouTube for the whole weekend of Juneteenth, was so important for me to do. You hear Michael Twitty there talking about African cuisine, and if you haven't read
the
if you want to, there's what?
The cooking gene. Like, you put me onto something. You talk about giving people credit, not to cut you off, but when people come to my home, Padma, that's like the first book on the shelf, and people ask me about it, and I was like, yo, bow down to Padma, because we were sitting in the studio one day, and you gave me 3 books to get: My Soul Looks Back, The Cooking Gene, and I got another book that I still have to get, and it opened my mind up, Padma, to Michael Twitty, to The Cooking Gene, that story. I just couldn't believe it. And I've been waiting for you. This is Heather, by the way. I've been waiting for you to come back to the show so I could just say thank you.
Oh, my God, you're so welcome. That makes me so happy. I'm so glad.
Yes.
Yeah, because this stuff is interesting. West Africans didn't come here as just like illiterate, dumb people who didn't know anything. They came to this shore in 1619 with a whole body of food knowledge, agricultural knowledge, experience and skill in rice cultivation. They came here with food traditions that dated back, hundreds and hundreds of years before they ever came to these shores. And it is not an accident that the Carolina rice industry floundered after emancipation, because they didn't have that skilled labor to help them cultivate it anymore. And so I just wanted to show people that African American food can be something that is separate and not always just connected to its white colonial masters. And I had never read about this stuff in school, and I'm a product of the U.S. public school system, and I should have, because identity is important for all of us. And, an African American's identity does not start with their ancestors landing on this soil. It's just been erased. The names have been erased. The background has been erased. But even the Gullah language is a combination of various West African languages from Sierra Leone, from, Senegal, from Nigeria. If you look at red rice, it is so obviously related to Nigerian jollof rice.
Wow, Padma Lakshmi is on, dropping science too. Taste the Nation. Taste the Nation is on Hulu right now. If you want to talk with her, 888-742-3345. We got Mattel from Tucson on the line. Good morning, Mattel.
Hey.
No, that's Mateo.
Mateo, my bad, bro. Yeah, I'm learning.
No, you're good, bro.
Thank you,
good.
sir.
First of all, blessings and peace and love to all of you. Tracy, Heather B, Sway, and Padma. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I'm already a crybaby at myself. We're sitting watching me and my girlfriend are sitting watching this show, and I'm just sitting there bawling. The first show we watched was the Burritos at the Border, and it just I'm just bawling, like just full of inspiration, full of knowledge, full of obviously all this beautiful food. But then we go and watch the episode. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, so you already know the episode with the reservations. When you went and visited the people there and told their story and let them just opened up to them. Oh, my goodness. Like I said, I cry for commercials. So, like watching that, I just want to thank you for stirring our spirit. I'm a cook also, and my girlfriend's a bartender. So, like, we've been in the industry for, since we've been able to work, at 16. So, but my kind of like comment and question towards you was just we moved from Arizona to Iowa, and now I'm living in Iowa actually. So I'm looking for more, I don't know, like more inspiration, kind of just to like step out of my comfort zone. This COVID kind of like locked me down and put me in like not a lazy mode, but like, I mean, my restaurant closed down, so I was out of work for a little bit and doing DoorDash deliveries. But I just kind of lost my inspiration, just kind of like, I felt lazy, I sat like sat around the house, like, you know, hanging out with my daughter. It was nice and everything. And, you know, spending time with her. But, like, I'm just looking for that, maybe just a word from you, Padma. Just, like, get off your ass, start, you know, getting back into your culinary dream and my culinary dream. And I don't know. I'm just looking for inspiration. So, but that, and then thank you so much for everything you do. Okay. Everything from the bottom of my heart.
You're so welcome, Mateo. It's that kind of feedback that I love to hear. And, you know, I totally know how you feel because I felt like that. I was really thankful also for the unstructured time with my 10-year-old, but I felt so unproductive. And, you know, like, it's still hard. I walk around going, what day is it? What day is it? And then it's like 10 o'clock when I wake up because I don't have a reason to wake up early. And then before I know it, it's 4 o'clock and I haven't done anything. Also, in quarantine, I haven't been able to read. I haven't been able to write. I can't focus. The one thing that really did save me was cooking at home, you know, and I would film those little videos, and you can see some of them on my Instagram at Padma Lakshmi. But I think here's what I would say. If you have a little bit of extra cash that you can splurge, order yourself a really beautiful cookbook online. There is, I don't know what your interests are, but I was just, you know, when I was talking to Heather earlier, I was going to recommend another book. This came out at Christmas, and my hairdresser gave me for a gift. I have been cooking out of it, but I just read it cover to cover because it was so beautiful. It is by a wonderful woman who I know called Toni Tipton Martin. And Heather, this book is for you too. It's called Jubilee. Okay? It's so beautiful. It's got 200 years of African American cooking, and it just gives you so much cooking. And you know, I'm obviously not African American. I have a great affinity for the culture because I grew up with it very closely. But I love this book. It's rare that I cook. I have so many cookbooks because I collect them as a cookbook writer, but I rarely cook from the recipes exactly. I just use it for inspiration. And I got to tell you, I've cooked from this book like exactly to the letter of what Toni says. I've never made dumplings in my life before, at least not dumplings, you know, like the traditional Southern dumplings. And I made it, and it was so great. So see, you know, go and see. Tell me, Mateo, what kind of cooking do you usually do?
Well, normally I just kind of stick to my roots, the Spanish and Mexican roots. So actually a couple days ago I had made some red chile, the chile de Colorado style. So I found a recipe to make the fried bread. And actually this was inspired by you by that episode because of the small rations that they were given during the you know, Trail of Tears days and stuff like that the Indians were given the small rations. And I was like, you know what? We don't really have much either right now, so let's just try this red chile. Let's do some fried bread, and we did, and it came out perfect. So like I lean towards like that, but I want to stretch out. I want to spread my wings and go into like Oriental and, you know, some Asian roots and kind of dig that and try and find something that I can stick to and, you know, just light a fire on it.
You know, there's a beautiful book, actually I was going to say on Mexican food. Like the scholar on Mexican food is this really old lady who I met. She's wonderful. Her name is Diana Kennedy, and she lives in Oaxaca, and she's got so many books on Mexican cooking. But I would rather, and I have all her books, but I would rather, if you can only buy one book on Mexican cooking, look up a book called, I think it's called Mi Casa, but the writer's called Enrique Olvera, O-L-V as in Victor, E-R-A, Olvera. And it's a beautiful book. And he's a really high-end chef who I met when I was filming Top Chef in San Miguel de Allende. But he opened up a restaurant called Cosme, which is like really cool, modern Mexican food, you know. And Mexican food to me is one of the most diverse foods that we don't really know about in this country. We know about northern Mexican food, but we don't know about the Yucatan. We don't know about, you know, Oaxaca as much. Like they have all these beautiful spice blends called recados that are very similar to Indian curries. And so if you want to reignite your own Mexican heritage, I grew up in high school, like half my friends were Mexican, and then the others were either Filipino or black. So, you know, I felt like I had Mexican food covered, but I bought this book, and I love it. Can you just look it up? I know it's Enrique. I think it's Mi Casa, but I just want to make sure I give them the right thing. But look up Enrique Olvera. I don't think he has many books out. That may be his only one. And then for Asian food, you know, what I would do is buy, like, you know, I don't want you to go out and buy, like, 15 books right now when money's tight for everybody. But there is a book which has a little bit of recipes from every Asian country, and it's just called The Complete Asian Cookbook. And that's a good place to start because you get different ethnicities and you can kind of jump around. So Enrique Olvera's book is Tu Casa, Mi Casa.
Tu Casa,
so your
Mi
casa,
Casa.
my casa.
Yeah. Mateo, thank you for your call. You're a citizen
of Sway in the morning.
And then Padma, my gosh, yo,
listen, Sway. Ever since Padma came on the show, she just had me like, man, listen, I've been going hard, and I'm just so appreciative. Like St. Helena Islands is where my family's from on my dad's side. So like after I read the book, man, the cooking gene. Man, my aunt broke down so much stuff to me, and I'm so thankful for you, Padma, for opening up my eyes to everything about why my family cooks the way we cook. So thank you.
And then also, listen, if you haven't watched it yet, damn it, after this interview, I'm sure you're going to watch it. Taste the Nation with Padma Lakshmi on Hulu. And congratulations on wrapping up 17th season on Top Shelf All-Stars L.A.
Woo. Thank you. Heather, you should also get Vibration Cooking and the Jemima Code.
Vibrations Cooking and the Jemima Code. Okay, I'm trying to write all of this down. All right, I'm ordering this stuff right now. Vibrations Cooking and the Jemima Code. Okay.
Padma, thank you for being on the show today. Love you, okay? Keep up the excellent work.
Thank you.
I love you guys. I always like talking to you, so definitely give me a call every once in a while, or I will.
Absolutely. Well, you know, you bored on quarantine, so. All right. Have a great day, okay?
You too. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye. Peace.